The human was tired. His journey had been long, and the strange planet he found himself on seemed endless. His spaceship had crash-landed, and now he was stranded in an unfamiliar world. The sky above him was a strange shade of green, and the air smelled different, thick with an unknown scent that he couldn't quite place. The land was dry and cracked, with jagged rocks scattered across the terrain. In the distance, he could see a dense forest of towering alien trees, their bark glowing softly in the twilight. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and took a deep breath, hoping to gather some strength. His body ached from the crash, and his stomach growled with hunger. He knew he needed to find shelter, food, and hopefully a way to repair his broken spaceship. But for now, he couldn't help but feel lost and overwhelmed by the alien world around him. The silence of the planet was unsettling. There were no sounds of animals or birds, no breeze rustling the trees. It was as if the planet itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The human kept moving, his eyes scanning the horizon as he trudged through the cracked ground. His shoes crunched against the dry earth with every step, and his thoughts were filled with worry about his next move. As he walked, his mind began to wander. He thought of home, the earth he had left behind, his family, and the friends he would never see again. It felt like a lifetime since he had been on a familiar planet, with the comforts of life that he had once taken for granted. Now, he was here, alone in this strange, hostile environment. He glanced up at the sky, noticing how the light was beginning to fade. The green hue of the sky turned darker, and the alien trees in the distance seemed to grow taller and more intimidating. The human quickened his pace, hoping to find shelter before the night fully set in. Suddenly, there was a rustle in the nearby bushes. The human froze, his heart raced, and his instincts kicked in. He crouched down, trying to stay hidden as he peered toward the source of the sound. Was it an animal or something else? The rustling grew louder, and before he could react, something small and fast darted out from behind the bushes. It was too quick for him to fully see. He barely had time to move before something sharp and unexpected made contact with his arm. "Ouch!" he shouted, recoiling. At first, he thought it was an animal that had bitten him. But when he looked down at his arm, he was stunned. There was no sign of teeth marks or any wound at all. Instead, he saw a small alien girl standing in front of him, her eyes sparkling with amusement. She looked nothing like the humans he was used to. Her skin was a vibrant shade of purple, and her long hair shimmered with silver streaks that seemed to catch the light in strange ways. She was dressed in a simple, tight-fitting outfit that glowed faintly in the dim light, making her seem almost ethereal. The human blinked in surprise. What are you?" he asked, his voice shaky. The alien girl tilted her head, giving him a playful grin. "I am no threat to you," she said, her voice soft yet filled with an otherworldly quality. "But you were foolish to ignore the warning." The human was still confused, trying to process what had just happened. He glanced at his arm again, half expecting to see a wound or some sign of injury. But there was nothing, no pain, no mark. Just the strange sensation of something having passed through him, like a brush of cold air. "What warning?" he asked, his confusion turning into frustration. You bit me." The alien girl giggled, her laughter like a melody in the silence of the planet. "Oh, it wasn't a bite," she replied, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "It was a warning, a sign. Now you belong to me." The human's eyebrows shot up in disbelief. "What do you mean?" "I belong to you." The alien girl stepped closer, and the human instinctively took a step back, his heart beginning to race again. Something about her presence felt strange, like she wasn't just another being on this planet. She was something far more powerful. He didn't know why, but he felt as if he were in her grasp, even though she hadn't physically touched him. Again, she smiled again, but this time there was something darker in her eyes. "You'll understand soon enough," she said cryptically. Before he could respond, the girl turned and started to walk away, her movements graceful and fluid. The human stood there for a moment, his mind racing. Was this some kind of alien trick, or had he truly just encountered a creature with powers beyond anything he had ever imagined? He took a deep breath and followed her, his curiosity getting the better of him. He had no other choice but to follow her. There was nowhere else to go. And something inside him told him that this alien girl was the key to understanding this strange world and perhaps even to his survival. As he walked behind her, he couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was only the beginning of something much bigger, something that would change everything he thought he knew about the universe. But for now, all he could do was follow her and see where this strange, unexpected encounter would lead. The human followed the alien girl, his mind racing with questions. He had just encountered something that defied everything he had ever known, and yet, here he was, walking behind a creature that didn't belong to any world he had ever imagined. Her movements were graceful, almost like she floated above the ground, and her laughter still echoed in his ears. He couldn't shake the feeling that she knew something he didn't, something important. As they walked deeper into the alien forest, the trees around them began to glow more brightly, casting eerie shadows across the path. The air felt heavier, charged with an energy that made his skin prickle. It wasn't just the strangeness of the world. There was something about the alien girl herself that made everything seem even more surreal. She moved like she belonged here, like the planet and the strange energy that filled it were a part of her. He tried to keep his distance, but it wasn't easy. Every time he thought he was too far behind, she would stop and wait for him, her eyes glinting as if she were testing him, daring him to speak. But he didn't. His mind was too tangled, too confused. What had just happened? What had that bite meant? And why did she say that now he belonged to her? Finally, the girl stopped in front of a large, glowing stone. It was unlike anything he had seen before, pulsating with a soft, rhythmic light. The stone seemed alive, almost as if it was breathing. The alien girl raised her hand, and the light from the stone flickered, illuminating her face. The human's heart skipped a beat. The glow cast an almost hypnotic spell, and for a moment, he felt as if everything else around him disappeared. "This is where we stop," she said softly, turning to face him. Her expression had softened, but there was still an unreadable look in her eyes. He felt uneasy. "Stop? Why?" He glanced around nervously. "What is this place? What do you want from me?" The alien girl's lips curled into a slight smile, but her eyes didn't reflect the warmth of her expression. There was a darkness there, something ancient and powerful. "It's not what I want from you," she replied. "It's what you need from me." She looked down at the glowing stone, her gaze fixed on it as though it held some secret. The human frowned, confused and frustrated. "I don't understand." She stepped closer to him, her gaze now piercing through him. "You will, but not yet." The tension in the air grew thick, and the human swallowed hard. Something about this place, about her, made him feel small and insignificant. He was just a human, a mere traveler lost in a vast, strange universe, and yet here he was, at the mercy of an alien being whose powers seemed limitless. The alien girl moved her hand slowly, tracing the contours of the stone as though it were a part of her. She spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper, as if sharing something sacred. "This place is where the bond begins," she said. "The bond that ties us together. The bite you felt was only the beginning. Now you are a part of me. Your presence here, it's necessary." He couldn't help but step back, his eyes widening. "What do you mean, necessary? I didn't ask for this. You can't just, I didn't choose you." She interrupted, her voice hardening. "You were chosen long before you ever landed here. You think you're the one in control? You think you're the one who decides how things go. No, this bond, this connection, it's not something you can escape. It's something that's been set in motion, something much bigger than both of us." The human's breath caught in his throat. What are you talking about?" She smiled again, but this time it was a sad, knowing smile. "The universe has its own way of deciding who stays and who goes. The bond between us, it was made long before you arrived. You are here because you were meant to be here, and whether you like it or not, you're a part of something much bigger now." He tried to make sense of her words, but the more she spoke, the more lost he felt. His mind was spinning. He had crash-landed on a foreign planet, and now he was somehow tied to an alien girl who seemed to possess abilities and knowledge far beyond his understanding. I'm not a part of anything, he snapped, his frustration bubbling. To the surface, I'm just a human trying to survive. I didn't come here to be anyone's pawn. The alien girl stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. You may not understand it now, but you will. Just as you will understand that we are connected, more connected than you can even begin to imagine. And you will need me. The universe has ways of making sure that happens. It always does. The human stood there, his heart racing as the weight of her words sank in. Was this real? Was this some kind of trap? He had no idea what was going on. But something inside him told him that it wasn't just about survival anymore. The bite, the bond, the strange energy of this place, it was all connected, and somehow, he had been caught in the middle. The alien girl's expression softened for a brief moment, almost as if she were pitying him, but then she turned away, her focus shifting back to the pulsating stone. Rest here, she said, her voice softer now. You'll need your strength. Tomorrow, we begin. The human hesitated. Something inside him told him that this was only the beginning, that there were things he still couldn't comprehend. But as the alien girl's form grew distant, he had no choice but to follow her instructions. His body was exhausted, his mind overwhelmed, and his options were running out. So, he sat down beside the stone, feeling its strange warmth seep into his bones, and waited for whatever came next. The human sat still, his back against the glowing stone, feeling the warmth seep into his bones. His mind raced as he tried to make sense of everything that had happened. The alien girl's words echoed in his ears, each one more cryptic than the last. The bond has begun, she had said. You belong to me now. What did she mean by that? How could something as simple as a bite change everything? As he gazed into the distance, the alien forest around him seemed to shift, the trees swaying, ever so slightly as if alive, aware of his presence. The silence was deafening, yet the air felt thick with energy. It was as though the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for something. The tension in the air made it hard to think clearly, and the strange stone beneath him seemed to hum with an energy he couldn't comprehend. He shifted uneasily, trying to shake the feeling of being watched. The alien girl, who had been standing by the stone, now turned to face him, her eyes locked with his, and in that moment, something inside him stirred a deep, almost instinctual pull that he couldn't explain. His heart skipped a beat. Was it fear? Was it something else? You're still confused, she said, her voice soft but filled with a strange authority. She took a step closer, and he instinctively took one back, but she wasn't threatening. There was something about her presence that felt inevitable, like she was part of the planet, part of the force that had drawn him here, whether he liked it or not. Of course, I'm confused, he snapped, his voice edged with frustration. I don't even know what's going on. You bite me, and suddenly I'm supposed to be what? A part of you. His tone was a mix of disbelief and anger. I'm not some pet or pawn in some alien game. I'm a human, and I came here to survive, not to become part of whatever this is. The alien girl tilted her head slightly, her expression unreadable. You misunderstand, she said. You didn't come here by accident. This place, this bond, it's not about control. It's about survival, about understanding. He shook his head. You say survival, but I'm not sure what I'm surviving against. You've said I'm a part of you. But what does that mean? What does this bond do to me? The girl's lips curved into a faint smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. She stepped closer, and this time, he didn't move. Something about her was calming, despite the underlying tension. You feel it, don't you? The pull, the connection between us, she said softly. It's in the air, in the land, in the stone beneath you. You're already part of this world, just like I am. You can't fight it, no more than a seed can fight becoming a tree, but you can choose how you grow. The human frowned, his thoughts a whirl of confusion. I don't feel anything, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Deep down, he did feel it. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there, a presence, a connection, something that tugged at him from the moment he met her. It was like the world itself was calling to him. But how could he trust something that felt so unnatural? You will, she said, her voice calm but sure. In time, you will understand. But right now, You need to stop resisting." She placed a hand gently on his shoulder, and for a split second, the warmth of her touch sent a shock of energy through him. His body tensed. But before he could react, the feeling was gone, replaced by an overwhelming sense of fatigue. He couldn't explain it. He had never felt anything like it before. It was as though the touch had unlocked something inside him, something dormant and ancient, a power he couldn't quite grasp. He wanted to pull away, to break the connection, but his body wouldn't. "Obey, let go," she whispered. "Let the bond settle, fight it, and it will only get worse. But accept it, and you'll understand. You'll have the strength to survive, to thrive, to become a part of something greater." The human wanted to argue, to push back, but the weight of his exhaustion pressed down on him. The energy from the stone, from the alien girl, seemed to drain him, and he felt his eyelids growing heavy. His mind screamed for him to fight, to stay alert, but his body was betraying him. "Please," he whispered, barely aware of the words leaving his mouth. "I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know if I can do this." The alien girl's face softened, her eyes full of something that resembled sympathy. "You don't have to do anything right now," she said gently. "Just rest, let your mind settle, and let the bond take root. Tomorrow, when you wake, everything will be clearer." And before he could protest, his body gave way. The world around him began to blur, the alien forest fading into the darkness of his own thoughts. The last thing he saw before his eyes closed was the alien girl, standing over him, her face a mixture of curiosity and something deeper, something he couldn't quite place. When the human woke, the first thing he noticed was the silence. The weight of the world seemed to have lifted, and for the first time since arriving on this planet, he felt calm. The connection that had felt like a burden the night before now seemed like something else, something he couldn't quite put into words. He sat up, and the alien girl was standing a few feet away, watching him with a quiet intensity. Her expression had changed overnight. There was no longer the playful mischief he had seen before. Now, she looked knowing. "You're awake," she said, her voice smooth and even. "I'm awake," he repeated, his voice hoarse, "and I'm not sure what to think. It's like I'm not the same as I was before, like I've changed somehow." The alien girl nodded. "You have, and so has your understanding. You're ready now to learn more." And with that, he knew that the real journey was just beginning. The human woke to a new sense of awareness, as if his very being had been altered overnight. The world around him seemed different, vibrant, charged with an energy he couldn't quite understand. He stood up, feeling the weight of the bond the alien girl had spoken of pressing against his chest, but this time, it wasn't uncomfortable. It was alive, as if it had become a part of him, wrapped around him like an invisible thread. The alien girl stood nearby, her eyes fixed on him, with an expression that was no longer playful or cryptic. There was something deeper in her gaze now, something that spoke of ancient knowledge and understanding far beyond anything the human had ever known. She wasn't just an alien anymore, she was a guide, a force of nature, and the strange pull he felt towards her only grew stronger. "You're ready," she said, her voice calm but filled with an underlying power. "The bond has taken root, and now you must understand it." He swallowed hard, still unsure of what she meant. "Understand it? What do you mean? You keep saying I'm connected, but what is this connection really?" The alien girl took a step forward, and the human instinctively took a step back. But not out of fear, it was more like a reflex. Something deep inside him that told him to maintain some distance. Even though every part of him longed to be closer, this connection, she began, her voice soft, almost reverent, is not just physical. It is a bond between worlds, a tether that ties you to something greater than yourself. It's something that exists between the fabric of the universe and the hearts of those who choose to understand it. He shook his head in confusion. "I still don't get it. What does that mean for me? What do you want from me?" Her eyes softened, and she walked closer, her presence filling the space around them like a quiet storm. "I don't want anything from you," she said, "but you have much to learn. You are now part of something bigger than you ever could have imagined, and the sooner you accept that, the better your chances of survival will be." She paused, letting her words sink in. The human felt a cold shiver run down his spine, a mix of fear and anticipation. What did she mean by survival? And why did she seem so certain that his fate was already sealed? Survival from what? He asked, his voice shaky despite his best efforts to sound calm. The alien girl looked out toward the horizon, her gaze distant. For a moment, he wondered if she was lost in thought or if she was waiting for something. Then, without warning, she spoke again, her voice low and grave from what's coming. She said simply, turning her gaze back to him, "The bond between us is not just a connection. It's a warning. The universe is changing, and there are forces that seek to destroy it all. Forces that will stop at nothing to tear the fabric of reality apart. And you, human, are caught in the middle of it all." His heart raced. "What do you mean? What forces?" She looked at him, her eyes hardening. "I cannot explain everything to you just yet, but you will soon understand. The bond between us is not just about you and me. It's about something far greater, something that ties you to the fate of the universe itself. And the moment you accepted this bond, you chose to become part of that fate." The human took a step back, his mind spinning. "I didn't choose anything. I didn't ask for this." The alien girl raised her hand, her fingers brushing the air with a silent command. "You may not have chosen it, but you are here now, and you have a role to play, whether you accept it or not." The human's chest tightened with anxiety. "What role? What am I supposed to do?" For a long moment, she didn't answer. Instead, she just looked at him, as if measuring the very essence of his being. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft yet firm. "You must protect the balance," she said. "The forces that threaten to destroy the universe are not just outside of us. They are within it. They've been waiting, watching, and now they are beginning to make their move. Your bond with me, with this world, is the key to understanding how to stop them." The human stood frozen, his mind struggling to process everything she had just said. Protect the balance, forces threatening the universe. He was just one person, a human with no special powers, no knowledge of the universe's greater workings. How could he possibly play a role in something so huge? "I'm just a human," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I don't even know what's going on. How can I stop something like that?" The alien girl's expression softened for the briefest moment, but then the familiar intensity returned to her eyes. "That is why you are here. Because you are not like the others. You were chosen for this because you possess something they do not, a heart that can feel the truth, even when it is hidden behind layers of lies. That is why this bond was formed between us. You can sense what others cannot. You can see the darkness that lies just beyond the veil." The human shook his head, trying to make sense of her words. "I don't feel anything. I don't see any darkness." The alien girl stepped closer, her eyes locking with his. "You will," she said softly. "In time, you will." With that, she turned and began to walk toward a distant hill, her movements graceful and sure. The human stood there for a moment, his mind in chaos, trying to piece together everything she had just revealed. It was also overwhelming, too much to understand in one sitting. He watched her for a moment, wondering if she truly knew everything or if she, too, was just a player in a game she didn't fully understand. Whatever the truth was, one thing was clear: his life had just changed forever, and the forces she spoke of were coming, whether he was ready or not. With a deep breath, he followed her, his heart heavy with the weight of the unknown. What was he supposed to do now? How could he protect the universe when he didn't even understand what was at stake? The journey ahead was uncertain, but one thing was for sure: he was no longer the same man who had crash-landed on this planet. The human followed the alien girl through the dense alien forest, each step heavier than the last. His mind was a blur of questions, doubt, and confusion. But there was one undeniable truth he couldn't ignore. He was no longer alone, not physically, not mentally. The bond, the strange connection that had begun with a bite, now felt like a constant hum under his skin, pulling him toward something bigger, something he still didn't understand. As they walked, the alien girl didn't speak. Her eyes were fixed on the path ahead, as if she knew exactly where they were going, while he stumbled behind, still trying to make sense of everything she had told him. Protect the balance. What balance? And what did he have to do with it? The Deeper they ventured into the forest, the more surreal the surroundings became. The trees around them had grown taller, their branches twisting in impossible shapes, glowing with faint hues of blue and violet. The air was thick with the scent of something sweet yet alien, a smell that made his head spin. He wasn't sure if it was the atmosphere or the weight of the bond, but he could feel his energy draining with each passing minute. The alien girl turned to him suddenly, her expression unreadable. "You're struggling," she said, her voice calm, but there was an edge of something darker beneath her words. "I know you want answers, but some answers come only when you stop fighting." He stopped in his tracks. "Stop fighting?" he echoed, his voice tinged with frustration. "I'm not fighting, I'm trying to survive. But every time I think I understand, you give me another cryptic statement. I don't know what to believe anymore." The alien girl's gaze softened. For just a moment, and for a brief second, the distance between them seemed to close. "I know this isn't easy, but you must trust in the bond. It's there to guide you. You cannot fight it, and the more you resist, the harder it will become." He felt a knot tighten in his stomach. It wasn't just the alien girl's words. It was the very air around him that seemed to press against him, urging him to let go. The bond wasn't just mental, it was physical, pulling at him from deep inside. But he couldn't shake the feeling of being trapped, of being caught in something much bigger than himself. "Why me?" he asked, his voice quieter now, almost as if he were speaking to himself. "Why did this happen to me? I'm just a human, a traveler. I didn't sign up for any of this." The alien girl didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stepped closer to him, her presence like an unspoken promise of something far beyond his comprehension. Her eyes, ancient and filled with knowledge, locked onto his. "You were chosen, not by me, but by something far greater. The universe, it has a way of choosing its champions, and you, human, are one of them. Your connection to me, to this world, it's the key. You may not understand it now, but soon you will." The human shook his head, the weight of her words sinking deeper into his chest. He didn't feel like a champion. He felt like a pawn, lost, confused, and stuck in the middle of something that didn't make any sense. As they continued walking, the forest around them began to change. The trees seemed to lean closer, their branches swaying in a strange rhythm, almost as if they were alive. The ground beneath them shifted slightly, like the planet itself was responding to their presence. Then, without warning, the alien girl stopped in front of a large, shimmering portal that appeared out of nowhere. It was like a tear in the fabric of reality itself, a swirling vortex of colors that seemed to bend and twist in ways that defied logic. The air around it crackled with energy, and the hum that had been pulsing through the human's body grew, louder, more intense. "This is it," the alien girl said, her voice steady. But there was a flicker of something in her eyes, perhaps anticipation, perhaps something darker. "Through this portal lies the heart of the universe, the balance you must protect, and the choice you must make." The human's heart pounded in his chest. "The heart of the universe," he repeated, his voice shaky. "What do you mean? What choice?" She turned to face him fully, her expression solemn. "The balance has already begun to shift. The forces that seek to destroy everything are already moving, and you, human, must decide where you stand. You must choose to protect the universe or let it fall into chaos." The human's mind reeled. This was no longer just about survival. This was about the fate of the entire universe. And somehow, he had become a part of it. "Choose?" he repeated, his voice low. "How am I supposed to choose something like that? I don't even know what's happening." The alien girl reached out and placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm but firm. "That's why you're here," she said quietly. "The bond between us gives you the power to see what others cannot, to understand what must be done, even if you don't fully comprehend it yet. Trust in it, and in time, the path will become clear." The human stared at the portal, feeling both drawn to it and repelled by it. It was a swirling mass of energy, something that felt both ancient and alive, pulling at him in ways he couldn't explain. The very idea of stepping through it seemed impossible, yet somehow it felt like his only option. "What's on the other side?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "The heart of the universe." The alien girl repeated, "Where everything begins and where everything ends." His stomach churned, and for the first time, he truly understood the weight of the situation. This wasn't just about him anymore. This was about everything, the fate of the universe. The balance she had spoken of, it all depended on the decision he was about to make. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, the hum inside him growing louder until it was almost deafening. "All right," he said, his voice steady despite the fear swirling within him. "I'm ready. I don't understand it all, but I'll trust you. I'll trust the bond." The alien girl smiled, a hint of pride in her eyes. "Good," she said, softly, "then let's begin." And with that, they stepped into the portal together, the swirling vortex enveloping them both as they moved toward an uncertain future. The moment they stepped into the portal, the world as the human knew it shattered. The swirling vortex of colors and energy consumed them, pulling them into the very heart of the universe. It wasn't just the physical sensation of being transported. It was as if his entire consciousness was being ripped apart and reassembled, piece by piece. His body felt weightless, floating through the vast expanse of nothingness. The alien girl by his side. For a split second, he thought he might lose himself entirely, his thoughts scattered, his sense of reality slipping through his fingers. But then, as if a switch had been flipped, everything clicked into place. The bond between him and the alien girl pulsed brightly within him, anchoring him to the present. He could feel it now, an energy that was both inside him and all around him, wrapping the very fabric of existence into a single point of truth. He tried to focus on the girl, but even she seemed to blur and distort, her form shifting in and out of existence. This wasn't a physical place. This was the essence of something much deeper, much older than he could comprehend. The fabric of reality itself seemed to bend here, like a thin layer of skin stretched over an unfathomable abyss. And then, without warning, the distortion cleared, and the human found himself standing in a place that could only be described as the center of everything. The landscape around them was impossible, floating islands of rock and water, shimmering bridges that stretched across vast, empty expanses, and stars that swirled and danced in the sky like fireflies. There was no horizon here, no clear direction. Everything was both near and far, as if the laws of space and time had no place in this realm. The alien girl stood beside him, her figure now perfectly defined, her eyes glowing with an inner light that seemed to pierce through the very fabric of reality. Her expression was serious, almost somber, as if she were bearing the weight of something far beyond what the human could imagine. "This is the heart," she said, her voice echoing in the vast emptiness, "where all things begin, where all things end, the place of balance." The human could hardly comprehend what she was saying. This is the heart," he whispered, his voice trembling. "But it doesn't look like anything I expected. It's not what I imagined." The alien girl's gaze softened, and she stepped closer to him. "The heart is not a place you can see with your eyes, human. It is a force, an energy, a power that binds all things together. It is the source of creation, but also of destruction. Everything that exists, everything you know, comes from here, and everything that will ever exist is connected to this place." His mind raced. He had always thought of the universe as a vast, empty space, a place of stars and planets, all governed by the laws of physics and time. But this was something else entirely. The heart wasn't just a place in space. It was the pulse of the universe itself. "You said something is threatening the balance," the human said, his voice quiet but filled with urgency. "What is it? What's coming?" The alien girl's expression darkened, and for the first time, the human saw a flicker of fear in her eyes. "The forces that seek to disrupt the balance have been gathering for eons. They are ancient beings, powerful and malevolent. They exist beyond time, beyond space. They are not just creatures or beings. They are concepts, darkness, chaos, destruction. They are the antithesis of the heart." The human felt a chill run down his spine. "So we're talking about more than just physical enemies. We're talking about forces that could erase everything." "Exactly," she said, her voice grave. "These forces are not bound by the rules of the universe as we understand them. They seek to undo everything, to tear apart the very fabric of reality. And to stop them, You must become something more than just a human. You must understand the heart's power." The human shook his head, disbelief washing over him. "I'm just a man, a human. I don't have the power to stop something." Like that, the alien girl reached out, placing a hand on his chest. The contact was warm, but it sent a jolt of energy through him. He could feel the power of the heart resonating within her, and in that moment, he realized something he hadn't understood before. The power was not hers alone, it was in him, too. The bond, the connection, was part of him now. It wasn't just the alien girl that was connected to the heart. It was him as well. "You are not just a human anymore," she said, her voice soft but powerful. "The bond between us has awakened something inside you. The heart is in you now. You can feel it, can't you?" He took a deep breath, closing his eyes as he focused on the strange pulse within him. It was faint at first, but as he concentrated, it grew stronger. A steady rhythm that matched his own heartbeat. The heart's power was within him, alive and pulsing, waiting to be harnessed. "But how do I control it?" he asked, his voice shaking with uncertainty. The alien girl smiled, but there was no humor in her eyes. "That is the choice you must make. You can choose to resist it, to fight it, and let the forces of destruction take over, or you can embrace the power of the heart, accept your role, and protect the balance. The power is within you, human, but you must decide if you are willing to wield it." His heart raced as the weight of her words settled on him. The future of the universe, the balance between creation and destruction, now rested on his shoulders. He could feel the power of the heart surging within him, a force unlike anything he had ever experienced. But with that power came a choice that could shape the fate of everything. The human took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on him. He had no idea what the future held. But one thing was certain: his life had changed forever, and with it, the universe had changed too. "I'm ready," he said, his voice steady but filled with determination. That the alien girl nodded, her expression unreadable. "Then we begin." With that, the human stepped forward, embracing the power of the heart, knowing that the fate of the universe rested in his hands. The journey ahead would not be easy, but he was no longer just a traveler lost on a strange planet. He was part of something greater, and the balance must be protected at all costs. The moment the human made his choice, everything changed. The energy of the heart surged within him, a pulse of power so intense that it felt like the very universe was breathing through him. It was as if his body had become a conduit, a bridge, between the ancient force of creation and the fragile reality of existence. The alien girl, standing by his side, seemed to watch him with a knowing gaze, her presence both reassuring and commanding. She knew this moment would come, but for him, it was the beginning of a journey he could not yet fully understand. The world around them seemed to hold its breath. The swirling stars in the sky flickered, their glow fading in and out as if the fabric of space itself was trembling. The floating islands, the shimmering bridges, everything felt alive, as though they were waiting for the human to act, waiting for him to channel the power that now roared within him. He looked down at his hands, feeling the strange energy coursing through his veins. It wasn't just strength or force, it was something deeper, more fundamental. It was the power to create, to destroy, to reshape reality itself. And it was terrifying. "I can feel it," he whispered, his voice barely audible against the humming of the universe. "This power, it's like nothing I've ever known." The alien girl nodded, her face unreadable. "You are one with the heart now. The balance is in your hands. You must understand its power, and with it, you must choose how you will wield it." He turned to her, his eyes wide with disbelief. "But how do I control it? How do I use it? To stop the forces that want to destroy everything?" "You will learn," she said, her voice calm and steady. "But first, you must see the consequences of your choice. You must see what is at stake." She raised her hand, and the air around them rippled, warping like a thin sheet of glass. Slowly, the scene around them began to change. The vibrant, surreal landscape of the heart melted away, replaced by something darker, more sinister. The stars above them vanished, and the ground beneath them cracked open, revealing an abyss so deep that it seemed to swallow the light itself. The air grew thick with a heavy, oppressive energy that made the human's heart race. "This is the path you've chosen to walk," the alien girl said, her tone grave. "This is what will happen if you fail." The human's eyes widened as he saw at the forces of destruction. A massive, shadowy figure stood at the center of the abyss, its form twisted and nightmarish. It was more than a creature, it was a force, a living manifestation of chaos itself. Dark tendrils swirling around it like a storm of pure malevolence. The figure's eyes glowed with a cold, empty light, and its very presence seemed to distort reality. "Is that the human?" began, his voice trailing off in shock. "Is that what I'm fighting against?" The alien girl nodded. "That is one of the forces that seeks to unravel the fabric of existence. It is known as the Voidbringer. It feeds on destruction, on chaos. It will not stop until it has consumed everything, and there are others like it." The human felt a chill run through him as he watched the Voidbringer raise its hand, sending out waves of dark energy that tore through the landscape, erasing everything in their path. He could feel the weight of the threat, the crushing inevitability of what would happen if he failed. "And if I succeed?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "If you succeed," the alien girl replied, her gaze softening ever so slightly, "you will restore balance. The forces of destruction will be held at bay, and the heart will remain protected. But it will not be easy. The Voidbringer and its kin are relentless. They will come for you, for the heart, and for everything you hold dear." The human clenched his fists, feeling the power within him flare in response to the threat. He was no longer just a helpless traveler. He was part of something much greater now, and the responsibility that came with it weighed heavily on his shoulders. "Then I won't fail," he said, his voice firm, despite the fear that gnawed at the edges of his mind. "I can't." The alien girl's expression softened slightly, a flicker of approval in her eyes. "You have made the first choice, human. The bond has forged you into something more. But the trials ahead will test everything you are. The balance is fragile. Even now, the Voidbringer stirs, and the universe is on the edge of collapse. The power you now wield can save everything, or it can destroy it." The air around them thickened, and the human felt a sudden pressure in his chest. The bond, the power of the heart, was growing stronger, almost overwhelming. It was as though the universe itself was demanding action, demanding that he make the choice to protect it, to fight for its survival. And yet, the weight of that responsibility felt like an anchor, dragging him down even as it pushed him forward. "I'm ready," he said, though the words didn't feel like his own. They felt like the very essence of his being had spoken them, the bond inside him giving voice to the unshakable certainty that he had a purpose here, a purpose that was far beyond anything he had ever imagined. The alien girl looked at him one last time, her expression unreadable. "You will be tested. The Voidbringer will come, and it will not be merciful. But the strength to defeat it lies within you." With those final words, the world around them shifted once more. The abyss receded, and the heart reappeared, its pulsing light surrounding them like a shield. The stars returned to the sky, but they flickered with a strange urgency, as though they knew that time was running out. The human felt the power within him surge, a tide of energy that was both exhilarating and terrifying. "This is just the beginning," the alien girl said, her voice now carrying a tone of finality. "Your journey has only just begun. The battle for the balance is now yours to fight." And with that, she turned, leading the way into the unknown, the human following closely behind. The universe was watching, waiting to see if he could fulfill his role, if he could wield the power of the heart and protect everything from the darkness that threatened to consume it.